Welcome, and thanks for joining us for this Google Deep Dive of the Advanced Situational Awareness and Threat Detection course offered by Basecamp Educational Services. In just a couple of weeks, this full program will be available, both online and as a live training option for your agency, business, or organization. Today's deep dive will give you an inside look at what the course covers, how it works, and how it can help you and your team spot the warning signs of violence before it happens. So sit back, enjoy the overview, and if you're interested in bringing this training to your team or taking it online yourself, follow up with us. We'd love to have you in class.
Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've ever heard someone say, maybe after something bad happens, it just came out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, you hear that all the time.
Exactly. Well, that feeling, that surprise, that's really the core problem we're diving into today. It's about missing those early warning signs. We've actually got our hands on some pretty specialized material here. It's an advanced course design document all about situational awareness and threat detection. The kind of stuff rooted in military, security, law enforcement training.
Right, serious framework.
Definitely dense stuff.
Yeah. But our mission today, well, it's pretty clear. We want to give you the mental models these experts use. The goal is to help you shift from just reacting after something happens, what they call being right of bang.
Which is often too late.
Way too late. To being proactive, staying ahead of it, firmly left of bang.
And that shift is so important because, well, the sources we're looking at are really clear. Violence rarely, if ever, just pops up spontaneously.
No warning at all. Almost never. There are pretty much always pre-incident indicators, things people could notice beforehand.
So why do people miss them then?
It usually comes down to internal factors, Distraction is huge today, complacency, sometimes just plain apathy. The bottom line is, if you're waiting until you actually see a weapon, well, you've basically lost the initiative. You're stuck reacting, playing catch-up.
Okay, so let's unpack that fundamental idea then. Safety, it seems, really boils down to three key elements for any threat to actually happen: motive, means, and opportunity.
That's the classic triad, yeah.
Now, we can't really control someone's motive, right? Their internal reason for doing something bad.
Nope, that's inside their head. Zero influence there.
And their means, well, maybe a little, but practically speaking, we don't have much control over whether someone decides to carry a weapon or, train themselves for violence.
Very little influence there either, realistically.
But here's the key part, the good news maybe, that third piece, opportunity.
Yes. Opportunity. That's where you come in.
That's where we have control.
Absolutely. That's the core insight from all this training material. Opportunity is almost entirely within your control, or at least your influence. By actually learning and using these situational awareness principles, you're actively making yourself a harder target. You're refusing to be the easy opportunity.
So you're directly influencing that third factor.
Exactly. You're reducing the likelihood of an incident happening to you by managing the opportunity aspect.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So where do we start? It sounds like it's not just about looking around more, is it?
No, not just that. It actually starts with your internal state, your mental state, getting your head in the right space first.
Right. How do we get our heads in the game?
It really begins with mindfulness, which sounds simple, maybe, but it's often the hardest step. The mantra is basically, be here now.
Be here now.
Awareness, true awareness, it only exists in the present moment, right here, right now.
Not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow.
Precisely. Most people, especially with, phones and constant notifications, they're living conceptually, either in the past, replaying arguments or conversations.
Or worrying about the future.
Yeah.
Planning dinner, stressing about a meeting.
Exactly. And that mental time travel, that conceptualization, it creates huge blind spots in your immediate surroundings. You might be technically looking, but nothing's actually registering.
You're physically present, but mentally checked out.
That's it. So we need a way to manage that mental state, to stay present.
Okay, so how do we talk about that? Is there a framework for readiness?
There is. A really common and useful one is Colonel Jeff Cooper's color codes for readiness. Think of it as like a universal language for your alertness level. It helps you get off that mental autopilot.
Okay, Cooper's color codes. Let's break them down. What's the first one?
The first and most dangerous state is white, condition white.
White, meaning?
Completely unaware, zoned out, maybe you're deep in your phone, lost in thought, music blasting in your ears.
Like someone's stepping off the curb without even looking up.
Perfect example. That's white. And it's where most bad things happen to unprepared people. You're just not paying attention at all.
Definitely sounds dangerous. So what's the goal then? Where should we aim to be?
The goal state, where you ideally want to spend, say, 99% of your waking life, is yellow.
Condition yellow.
Condition yellow. This is relaxed alertness. You're not paranoid, you're not stressed, but you are casually aware of your environment.
So like if I'm waiting in line for coffee.
Yeah. You just naturally notice things. Where are the exits? Who just walked in behind you? Is that unattended bag near the door supposed to be there? It's relaxed, but it's competent, aware.
Okay, yellow sounds like the sweet spot. What comes after yellow?
If that relaxed alertness, that yellow state, picks up on something specific, something that doesn't quite fit the normal picture, an anomaly, you shift into orange.
Condition orange. So a specific alert.
Right. A potential threat has been identified. Maybe it's someone acting strangely or a situation that feels off. Your attention starts to narrow. You focus on that specific thing.
And you start thinking about what ifs.
Exactly. Your brain starts running those mental if this, then that scenarios. What are my options? If he moves closer, what do I do? You're preparing mentally.
Got it. And the next level?
That would be red. Condition red.
Red means go.
Pretty much. Red is when the threat is clear, it's imminent, it's unmistakable, there's no more ambiguity. Action is required now. You have to act decisively to deal with the threat.
Okay. White, yellow, orange, red.
That seems logical.
But you mentioned something earlier about jumping states.
Yeah. This is critical. What many people don't realize is the danger of going straight from white, totally unaware.
Straight to red. When the threat is right there.
Exactly. When that happens, your brain often just stalls. It gets overloaded, which is why many instructors add a conceptual fifth color, black.
Condition black. What's that?
Black isn't really a state you choose. It's what happens to you. It's total overload, freezing, panicking. You lose the ability to function effectively. Think deer in the headlights.
And you're saying living in yellow helps prevent that jump?
Absolutely. Being in yellow, that state of relaxed alertness, acts like a buffer. It allows you to transition smoothly through orange, identifying the potential threat early, giving you time to prepare mentally before you hit red. It prevents that sudden shock that leads to black.
So yellow is like proactive insurance against freezing up. Okay, that makes sense. But being in yellow means you're taking in a lot of information, right? Just observing. How do you actually process it all? How do you move from just seeing stuff to actually understanding it?
Great question. That takes us beyond just alertness levels and into the cognitive process of awareness. For that, we can look at Dr. Micah Ensley's model. She breaks down situational awareness into 3 distinct levels.
Okay, Ensley's 3 levels, what are they?
Level 1 is perception. This is simply noticing the raw data. What is happening around you?
Just the facts.
Just the facts, seeing the details, hearing the loud voice, noticing the person wearing a heavy coat, seeing the car idling by the curb. Pure observation.
Got it. Level 1, perceive. What's level 2?
Level 2 is comprehension. This is where you start to make sense of what you've perceived. What does it mean?
Connecting the dots.
Exactly. You perceive the man in the coat, level 1. You then comprehend that it's 90 degrees outside, context, so the coat is weird, it's an anomaly, level 2. You start interpreting the why, assigning meaning based on context.
Okay, perceive the data, comprehend its meaning. What's the final level?
Level 3 is projection, and this is arguably the most critical level for staying ahead, for staying left of bang.
Projection. Like predicting the future.
Sort of, yeah. It's about anticipating. Based on what I've perceived and comprehended, what is likely to happen next. If that person acting suspiciously keeps walking towards me and keeps their hands hidden, what's the probable outcome?
So you're running scenarios forward in time.
You are. You're anticipating how the situation might evolve.
Yeah.
This projection allows you to prepare and potentially act before the crisis actually peaks. It buys you crucial time.
Perception, comprehension, projection. Okay, I see how those build on each other. But that projection is only as good as the information you initially perceive and comprehend, right? Especially if things get tense, say, in a direct interaction with someone. What cues should you really be paying attention to?
That's a key point. It's easy to get fixated on just the words someone is saying, but the sources we reviewed point heavily towards Mehrabian's 73855 rule when you're trying to interpret someone's true emotion or attitude, especially under pressure.
Oh, I've heard of this, the percentages.
Yeah, the breakdown is pretty startling when you think about it. Only about 7% of the emotional messaging communication comes from the actual words being used.
Only 7%. That seems low.
It does, but think about it. Then 38% comes from the tone of voice. How they're saying the words. Are they sharp? Trembling. Monotone.
Okay, tone carries more weight. 38%, that leaves.
The biggest chunk, the dominant factor. 55% comes from body language, facial expressions, posture, gestures, eye contact, all the nonverbal stuff.
Wow, so over half of what you're picking up about someone's real feelings or intent isn't even verbal.
Exactly, and that's why inconsistencies are such powerful warning signs. They scream, something's wrong here.
Inconsistencies like what?
Like someone saying calm, reassuring words, that's the 7%, but their voice is tight and high-pitched, 38%. And their fists are clenched, jaw tight, maybe they're pacing nervously, 55%.
So the words say one thing, but the body and tone say something totally different.
Precisely. Your brain instinctively picks up on that mismatch. Those nonverbal signals are often broadcasting stress, deception, or some kind of hidden intent. The lesson is, you really have to learn to trust that huge 55% chunk, the body language, often over the words themselves.
Trust the nonverbals.
Okay.
And trusting those cues, figuring out what they mean. Yeah, it sounds like it fits into another framework people talk about a lot, the OODA loop.
Absolutely. Colonel John Boyd's OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act. It's a classic decision-making cycle.
Right. Observe, orient, decide, act. We hear it mentioned constantly. But these sources, they seem to really emphasize the orient step. Why is orient supposedly the most critical part? Isn't observing the facts just as important?
Observing gives you the raw data, sure, that's essential, but orient is where you actually make sense of it all. It's the cognitive filter.
The comprehension and projection parts from Inslee's model.
Very much related, yes. Orientation is where you connect those raw observations, the clenched fist you saw, the sharp tone you heard, to everything else you know, your past experiences, your training, the context of the situation, that baseline normal we talked about.
So it's not just seeing, it's understanding what you're seeing in context.
Exactly. Anyone can observe.
Yeah.
But how you orient determines whether you interpret that observation correctly. Is it a genuine threat? Is it a medical emergency? Is the person just having a really bad day? If you misorient, if you misunderstand the situation,
Then your decision in your action will be wrong.
precisely, you'll react inappropriately. The sources stress that the speed and accuracy of your orientation phase dictates how much control you have. Get inside the other guy's OODA loop by orienting faster and better.
Okay, so orient is crucial for sense-making. How do we make that orientation more reliable, less guesswork? Is there a structured way to spot potential threats?
There is. That brings us to something called human behavior pattern recognition and analysis. HBPRNA for short.
HBPRNA sounds complex.
The name is a mouthful, but the core idea is pretty straightforward. It gives you a structured way to apply that observe and orient process, focusing on baselines and anomalies.
Baselines and anomalies. Okay, what do those mean here?
A baseline is simply understanding what's normal for a specific environment at a specific time, what's the usual rhythm, how do people typically dress, what's the normal noise level, what are the common patterns of movement.
So the baseline for, say, a quiet library at 10 a.m. is totally different from a busy airport terminal at 5 p.m.
Exactly. Or a rock concert versus a church service. You have to establish that normal first in your mind for wherever you are.
Makes sense. And an anomaly then is?
Anything that deviates significantly from that established baseline. Anything that sticks out as unusual or out of place for that specific context.
Like the coat and summer example.
Perfect example. That's an anomaly. And spotting anomalies is where we circle back to the be here now idea, and also how our brains naturally filter information. Remember that reticular activating system, the RAS?
The brain's filter.
Yeah, your RAS is designed to filter out the routine, the expected, the baseline stuff so you're not constantly overwhelmed. It lets the normal fade into the background.
So you don't consciously process every single car that drives by.
Right, which is efficient, but it means the only way to reliably spot something dangerous or unusual, the anomaly, is if you've first consciously established what normal looks like. The anomaly then flags itself because it doesn't fit the pattern your RAS expects.
And anomalies can be things that are added or things that are missing.
Correct. Anomalies can be above baseline, something present that shouldn't be, like the heavy coat in summer, or someone loitering near a school gate when school's out. Or they can be below baseline, something absent that should be there.
Like what? An example of below baseline.
Maybe a normally busy security checkpoint that's suddenly completely unattended. Or an emergency exit that's unexpectedly blocked. The absence of the expected is the anomaly.
Okay. So are there specific types of anomalies we should be particularly looking for when it comes to potential threats?
Yes. The training focuses on two main categories: honest signals and targeting behaviors.
Honest signals, what are those?
These are physiological stress responses that are very difficult to fake. They're honest because the body is reacting involuntarily to internal stress or anxiety.
Like sweating.
Trembling.
Exactly. Things like trembling hands, visible sweating when it's not hot, rapid shallow breathing, maybe excessive fidgeting or grooming behaviors like constantly touching the face or hair, the body betraying nervousness or intense focus. Okay, honest signals the body's reaction. What about targeting behaviors?
Targeting behaviors are more conscious actions. They're things someone does, often subtly, that indicate they might be planning or preparing for hostile action. They're part of their OD loop, specifically their orient and decide phases, maybe.
Examples.
Things like repeatedly scanning the environment, maybe looking for cameras, exits, or security personnel, or repeatedly touching or adjusting clothing around the waistband could be checking on a concealed weapon.
That makes sense. What else?
Maybe maintaining intense, seemingly inappropriate focus on a specific person or area. Or, conversely, deliberately avoiding all eye contact in a way that feels unnatural. These are actions that suggest someone is assessing, planning, or positioning themselves.
So you spot these anomalies, these honest signals or targeting behaviors. You've observed them. You've oriented by realizing they don't fit the baseline. Now what? How do you make the final call? That's sense making peace under pressure.
Right, this is where you move firmly into the decide phase, moving from just collecting data to making a judgment. Is this actually a threat, or is it no threat? This is the crucial filter.
How do you make that call without overreacting or, worse, underreacting?
The source material gives a pretty clear guideline, a rule of thumb, especially when there's still some ambiguity. You should act decisively based on one single, overt, undeniable, immediate threat.
Like seeing a weapon being drawn or hearing the explicit verbal threat.
Exactly, something unambiguous that requires instant action. But if it's not that clear-cut, if you're dealing with more subtle cues, the rule is wait for a cluster of 3 or more consistent independent cues that all point towards the same potential threat.
3 or more consistent cues? Why 3?
It's about building confidence in your assessment and avoiding action based on a single potentially misinterpreted signal. One anomaly could be anything. Maybe the person just feels ill. 2 could be a coincidence. But when you see 3 separate indicators all pointing in the same direction,
the probability that something is wrong goes way up.
Exactly. It helps prevent you from normalizing genuinely threatening behavior because you talked yourself out of the first 1 or 2 signs. But it also stops you from jumping the gun based on insufficient data. It balances caution with decisiveness.
Okay, the 1 overt or 3 consistent cues rule. That's a really useful takeaway. But how do you judge if those 3 cues are, significant enough or consistent enough? Are there tools for that?
Yes, there are ways to measure or evaluate the cues you're observing. 2 common tools mentioned are DRI and DDC.
DRI
Stands for duration, repetition, intensity, you ask. How long did the behavior last? Duration. Is the person doing it over and over again? Repetition, like constantly checking their waistband, not just once. And how strong or pronounced is it? Intensity. Is it a minor twitch or visible, uncontrolled trembling?
So higher DRI means higher concern. Longer duration, more repetition, stronger intensity.
Generally, yes. It helps you gauge the significance of the behavior.
Okay, that's DRI. What about DDC?
DDC stands for deviation, direction, consistency. Deviation asks, how far from the normal baseline is this behavior? Is it slightly odd or extremely out of place?
Like the difference between someone looking nervous versus someone wearing a ski mask in July.
Right. Big difference in deviation. Direction asks, is the overall pattern escalating or de-escalating? Is the person getting angrier, more agitated, moving faster, or are they calming down? Direction tells you the trajectory.
And consistency.
Consistency ties it all together, especially when you have multiple cues. Do all the signals support the same conclusion? If you see 3 cues, but one suggests anger, one suggests fear, and one suggests maybe a medical issue, they lack consistency. They don't paint a clear picture. You need the cues to generally agree.
Okay, DRI and DDC help measure the anomalies. So you've used these tools. You've applied the 1 or 3 rule. You've moved through observe and orient. Now you hit decide and act. And this often has to happen under intense pressure, right?
Almost always in a real crisis, yes. And that's where we have to acknowledge the very real physiological limits on our decision-making ability.
Our brains don't work the same under stress.
Not at all. We need to factor in things like Hicks' law.
Hicks' law. More choices mean slower decisions.
Exactly. The more options you have to choose from, the longer it takes your brain to process them and make a decision. This is true even when you're calm.
And under stress.
It gets dramatically worse. When you're calm, studies suggest you can mentally juggle maybe, 7 pieces of information, give or take. But the sources confirm that under severe stress, like in a violent encounter,
That capacity plummets.
plummets down to maybe only 3 items, sometimes fewer. Your brain literally loses access to complex thoughts and nuanced solutions. It simplifies, whether you want it to or not.
Which is why complex plans often fail in a crisis.
Absolutely. And it's precisely why effective emergency training focuses on simplifying your response options beforehand. You've probably heard the run, hide, fight guidance for active shooter events.
Yeah, that's everywhere.
There's a reason it's simple. It's 3 clear, distinct, pre-rehearsed options. By grouping potential responses into these small, well-practiced blocks, you preserve your ability to actually choose and act when your mental processing power is severely limited by stress. You're working with your brain's limitations, not against them.
Pre-decide and rehearse simple options.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground awareness states, processing models, observation cues, decision rules, stress effects. How does this all fit together? Is there a big picture roadmap?
There is. The course material we looked at culminates in a 6-step model. Think of it as the capstone framework that ties all these concepts together. It provides a complete roadmap, taking you from being prepared all the way through taking action.
Okay, the 6-step model. Let's walk through it. Step 1.
Step 1 is preparedness. This starts before anything happens. It's not just about physical readiness, but mental readiness too.
Like knowing exits before you even sit down in a restaurant. Exactly. Knowing exits, potential cover, escape routes, having a basic what-if mindset before you enter a space, setting yourself up for success.
Okay, preparedness first. Step 2.
Step 2 is observation. This is putting condition yellow into practice. As soon as you enter an environment, you consciously establish that baseline normal we talked about. Then you actively scan for anomalies using your RAS filter effectively.
Step 3.
Step 3 is comprehension. This is Ensley's level 2 and the Odo loop's orient phase. You're connecting the dots. What do those anomalies you observed actually mean in this specific context? You're making sense of the cues.
Using that 1 or 3 rule, maybe?
Starting to apply it, yeah. Assessing the significance with DRI and DDC.
Got it. Step 4.
Step 4 is projection. Ensley's level 3. That crucial forward-looking step. Based on my comprehension, what's likely to happen next? If I do nothing, what's the worst-case scenario? If I move over there, what happens? Anticipating outcomes. Step 5 is decision-making. Now you make the call. You use the 1 overt or 3 consistent cues rule definitively. You choose the best option from those simple, pre-rehearsed response blocks we talked about: run, hide, fight, or whatever applies. You commit to a course of action.
And the final step.
Step 6. Step 6 is action. Execute your decision swiftly and decisively. The whole point of this model is to build a bias for action once the decision is made. Hesitation in a crisis can be fatal, so you train yourself to act purposefully.
Preparedness, observation, comprehension, projection, decision-making, action. That really does tie everything together.
It provides a clear sequence.
And just to circle back to where we started, this entire framework, all 6 steps, is designed to keep you where?
Firmly left of bang.
Left of bang, meaning
Meaning you're detecting the indicators so early, you're comprehending and projecting so effectively that you ideally make your decision and take action before the actual bang, the crisis moment, the attack itself ever occurs. You're preventing or avoiding, not just reacting after it's already happening.
prevention over reaction. That's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. And the main takeaway for you, the listener, should be this. Situational awareness isn't some kind of innate superpower that some people just have. It's a skill, it's dynamic, and it's completely trainable.
It's not genetic.
Not at all. By deliberately, systematically practicing these things, establishing baselines, consciously looking for anomalies, thinking through the steps, you are literally training your brain. You're refining that RAS filter to ignore the noise and lock onto the critical signals, the ones that indicate potential danger or intent.
And the goal isn't to become paranoid, right?
Yeah.
Always expecting the worst.
Definitely not. That's counterproductive. The goal is quiet competence and confidence. It's about being able to navigate the world feeling prepared and aware, but still relaxed. Ready, not rigid. Alert, not anxious.
Competence and confidence, not paranoia. That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. We want to leave you with one final thought, something to mull over, tying back to that idea of the brain's filter, the reticular activating system. We know the RAS filters out information it decides is unimportant, often based on habit. So the provocative question for you is this. What daily habit are you currently practicing? Maybe it's constantly staring down at your phone while walking or always having headphones in, tuned out. What habit are you training your filter to accept as normal and therefore ignore?
Good question.
And could that thing your filter is ignoring that subtle environmental cue? You're conditioning yourself not to see be the one piece of information that might buy you critical time, might make all the difference when seconds truly matter.
Makes you think about those autopilot moments.
It really does. So the challenge is clear. Consciously shift your default setting. Move away from living in condition white, distracted and unaware, and make condition yellow, that relaxed alertness, your everyday standard.
Be present. Be aware.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found it valuable. We'll see you next time.